When people are dazzled by miracles, they'll believe almost anything. Modern-day miracle workers take fast advantage of that. You can even buy a book called A Course in Miracles. And since only God can perform a miracle, the next leap of modern faith is to realize that we ourselves are gods. Satan's great end-time lie is in full bloom on radio, TV, and across the internet. From the Moody Church in Chicago, this is Running to Win with Dr. Erwin Lutzer, whose clear teaching helps us make it across the finish line. Today, Erwin Lutzer continues his series on Oprah, miracles, and the new earth, a look at the lie into which our culture is sinking. This lie has no room for the real Jesus.
What about Jesus in the midst of this? Well, the book on miracles says that you do not need help to get to heaven. And as far as our Jesus is concerned, what does it say? Quote, I'm quoting now A Course in Miracles, a slain Christ has no meaning. And now another quote, do not make the pathetic error of clinging to the old rugged cross. The only message of the crucifixion is that you can overcome the cross. Until then, you are free to crucify yourself as often as you like, but don't make the pathetic error of clinging to the old rugged cross. Now, isn't this interesting? And by the way, remember, Marianne Williamson is the one who is teaching the course on miracles on Oprah's radio show, probably to not hundreds of thousands, but to millions of people. This is it. Do not cling to the old rugged cross. Those of us who are a little older, and I'll bet this is true of Jerry Edmonds, wherever he is sitting, but because I'm a pastor, I have to rephrase that. I venture to say this is true of Jerry Edmonds. We remember that there was a song called The Old Rugged Cross. We haven't sung it for a long time. But where would Helen Schuchman get this idea of clinging to the old rugged cross, taking it right out of a hymnal? She was not brought up as a Christian. The song is not sung very often. But remember, she didn't have to. She was only taking dictation from what her spirit guide told her, and I can assure you that every one of those spirit guides, those evil spirits, however many there are throughout the world, they know about the song, The Old Rugged Cross, and they hate the song, The Old Rugged Cross. Because the Bible says that when Jesus Christ died, it says that he disarmed all principalities and all powers, making a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. And I, for one, am going to cling to the old rugged cross. Are you with me here? Anybody out there? And by the way, for the benefit of the younger generation that doesn't know the meaning or the words, I should say, to the old rugged cross, let me quote the first stanza. It says, on a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. And I cherish the old rugged cross, and I will cling to the old rugged cross until I exchange it someday for a crown. The old rugged cross, my friend, is the only way you can get to heaven, and when you come to Moody Church, you'll hear about the old rugged cross. You say you're talking about New Age, Eric Tolley, Marianne Williamson. You're talking about their view of conversion, Course in Miracles. Does it work? Of course it works. You can read the blogs. There are people saying today that after they have read the book that they're even getting rid of addictions. Listen, Satan will make sure that it'll work. It'll never work permanently, and it will always have a residue a residue, an uncomfortable residue, as people testify. It'll leave that, but he will make it work as much as he can. Remember, he's into deception. Make as many promises as you can. Keep as many as you can. Only be sure that in the end, people get not what they want, but what you want. If he has them hooked, he'll even give them peace for a little while. Think of the Garden of Eden. Your eyes shall be opened. That promise was partially kept. Adam and Eve did. Their eyes were opened. They did now know good and evil, but they knew it in an experimental way, which is tragic and which is horrid. But nonetheless, after a manner of speaking, he did keep his promise. Their eyes were opened. And after a manner of speaking, if you leave this zone and you go into the other zone unaided, into the spirit world, there will be promises there that will be kept. But always, eventually, the negative import. We've looked at 3 radical redefinitions. First of all, what you have is God redefined. God is one of us, a bigger one of us maybe, but he's just like us. No sin to worry about. Your problem is not sin, it is ignorance. What you need to do is to get into the other zone. So death is redefined. No need to fear it, because in a world where there is no sin and no personal God, no accountability, so however you define it, death is just this wonderful experience of passing on. Conversion is redefined. In this literature, it is often referred to as esotericism. That is to say, the experience of the occult, the experience of the unknown, the experience of that other dimension that people are into, where they encounter all of this power and all of this peace. But morality is also redefined. You shall know good and evil, there's the next phrase, and you shall know it without any reference to me. You're going to be on your own. I marvel at this. All of this literature, whether it's Eckhart Tolle's book or also, the Course in Miracles, they struggle with evil. They have to say evil is